Fleet Commander Velcro stood on the bridge of his flagship, watching the blue-green world called Earth grow larger on his main screen. He had conquered 17 different star systems in his long career, and every conquest had followed the same pattern. Show overwhelming force, destroy some military targets, demand surrender, and then accept the inevitable submission of the defeated species. His fleet of 3,000 ships was the largest force ever assembled for a single conquest. The Council had wanted to make sure there would be no mistakes with the humans. Every ship was equipped with the most advanced weapons and shields that galactic technology could provide. His crews were the most experienced soldiers in the galaxy, veterans of dozens of successful campaigns. The first target was Titan Station, a human mining facility orbiting Saturn. Velcro had chosen it carefully. The station was important enough to matter to humans, but small enough that its destruction would not require significant effort. The survivors would spread word of alien power throughout human space, beginning the psychological breakdown that always preceded surrender. Commander Kate Phillips had been in charge of Titan Station for 3 years. When the alien ships appeared on her sensors, she received immediate orders from Earth Defense Command to evacuate all civilian personnel and prepare to surrender the facility. Kate read the orders twice, then deleted them from her computer. Instead, she called her senior staff to the command center. "The aliens want us to run," she told them. "They expect us to abandon this station and hide while they decide what to do with us. I have a different idea." Kate's staff looked at her with confusion and growing concern. They all knew the odds. Titan Station had defensive weapons designed to fight off pirates and raiders, not a galactic superpower. The station's shields could barely stop a large asteroid, let alone alien weapons that could destroy planets. "Ma'am," her chief engineer said carefully, "our orders are to evacuate. We can't fight their entire fleet with mining equipment." Kate smiled in a way that made her crew nervous. "We're not going to fight their fleet. We're going to fight one ship, and we're going to make them remember it." When the alien ultimatum arrived, demanding immediate surrender of the station, Kate's response was simple. She loaded the largest mining ship in the station's bay, with every explosive device they could find, programmed it for a collision course with the alien flagship, and sent it on its way at maximum speed. Velcro watched the approaching ship with mild interest. Human surrender protocols were unfamiliar to him, but he assumed this was some kind of formal ceremony. Many species had unusual customs when giving up their territory. He ordered his defensive systems to remain inactive, not wanting to interfere with what appeared to be a diplomatic gesture. The mining ship struck his flagship's main hangar bay and exploded with enough force to tear a hole completely through 3 decks. Emergency alarms screamed throughout the alien vessel as atmosphere vented into space and fires spread through the damaged sections. Velcro found himself thrown to the floor as his ship shuddered from the impact. "Damage report," he demanded, pulling himself back to his feet. "Extensive damage to sections 7 through 12, his tactical officer replied. 43 casualties. Hull breach in the main hangar. Sir, the humans appear to be attacking us." Velcro stared at the tactical display in disbelief. According to every military database in the galaxy, humans should have surrendered immediately after seeing the size of his fleet. Instead, they had just rammed a civilian ship into his flagship. Such behavior was not merely unexpected, it was incomprehensible. On Mars, Colonel Ryan Mitchell had received similar evacuation orders and had made a similar decision to ignore them. New Houston was the largest human settlement on Mars, home to 2 million people. Most of the civilians had already been evacuated through the underground transport tunnels, but Mitchell and his security forces had remained behind. When the alien dropships descended from the sky, Mitchell's people were ready for them. Every building in New Houston had been prepared as a defensive position. Every street had been mined. Every rooftop held snipers with weapons designed for hunting Martian wildlife, but perfectly capable of damaging alien equipment. The alien ground forces expected to find a city full of terrified civilians ready to surrender. Instead, they found a city that had been turned into a fortress by people who apparently did not understand that resistance was futile. The first alien soldiers to reach the city center were met by gunfire from 12 different buildings. When they called for air support, human rockets destroyed their landing craft. When they tried to advance through the streets, buried explosives tore apart their vehicles. "Sir," the alien ground commander reported to his ship, "the humans are not surrendering. They appear to be fighting a defensive action with considerable preparation and coordination. The response from the ship was immediate and sharp. That is impossible. No species fights after witnessing our fleet strength. Demand their surrender again. We have demanded surrender 17 times, sir. They are not responding to our communications. They are only shooting at us. Dr. Nina Foster worked in a laboratory hidden beneath the ruins of Chicago. While the fighting continued in space and on other worlds, she was studying pieces of alien technology that had been recovered from the first battles. What she discovered was both encouraging and terrifying. The alien weapons were incredibly advanced, using energy principles that human science barely understood. Their shields operated on theoretical physics that human universities taught as impossible possibilities. Their computers processed information faster than anything humans had ever built. But Nina noticed something else about the alien technology. It was all designed for quick, decisive victories against opponents who followed predictable patterns. The weapons had settings for overwhelming force but limited options for extended combat. The shields were designed to stop massive attacks but struggled with sustained, random fire from multiple small sources. Most importantly, the alien communication systems revealed that their military doctrine had not changed in over 200 years. They fought every battle the same way because their tactics had always worked perfectly. They had never needed to adapt or improvise because no enemy had ever required them to learn new methods. Captain Paul Rivera commanded the Earth defense ship Defiance, one of the newest vessels in the human fleet. When he received orders to engage the alien ships near Jupiter, he knew his mission was hopeless. His ship was outgunned, out-armored, and outnumbered by factors that made victory mathematically impossible. But Paul had not joined the Earth Defense Force to win easy battles. He had joined to protect humanity regardless of the odds. When his weapons failed to penetrate alien shields and his own shields collapsed under alien fire, Paul made a decision that would have horrified any galactic military commander. He ordered his crew to abandon ship, set the reactor for overload, and rammed the Defiance directly into the center of the alien formation at maximum speed. The explosion destroyed his ship and damaged 6 alien vessels, but more importantly, it demonstrated something that shocked the alien commanders. Humans would rather die fighting than live in surrender. Fleet Commander Velcros found himself requesting reinforcements for what should have been a simple pacification mission. His reports to the Council described behavior that his superiors found difficult to believe. Humans were not following any recognized pattern of military surrender. They seemed to treat each defeat as information for the next battle rather than as a reason to give up. Most disturbing of all, human resistance was growing stronger, not weaker, as the campaign continued. Each destroyed human ship somehow shared its discoveries with the rest of the fleet. Each lost battle seemed to teach humans something new about alien tactics and weaknesses. Velcros had conquered 17 star systems, but he had never encountered an enemy that learned faster than he could defeat them. Admiral Jake Morrison stood in the command center beneath what had once been Luna City. The alien bombardment had turned humanity's first lunar settlement into a crater, filled with twisted metal and broken dreams. But the underground facilities remained intact. More importantly, the humans inside those facilities were still fighting. The walls around Morrison were covered with tactical displays showing the current state of the war. The numbers told a story that should have ended in human surrender weeks ago. Earth had lost 60% of its space fleet. Mars was under enemy occupation. The outer colonies had been destroyed or abandoned. By every measure that galactic military science recognized, humanity should have collapsed. Instead, human resistance was growing stronger. General Laura Price studied the latest battle reports with the kind of focus that had made her the youngest general in Earth Defense Force history. "They're fighting like they're playing a game with rules," she observed, pointing to the tactical data. "Look at their attack patterns. They expect us to surrender when we reach certain loss thresholds. When we don't surrender, they seem confused about what to do next." Morrison nodded grimly. He had noticed the same pattern. The aliens would attack with overwhelming force, destroy a significant portion of human defenses, then pause and wait for surrender negotiations. When no surrender came, they would attack again, but with the same tactics that had worked before. They seemed incapable of changing their methods. Captain Steve Walsh had discovered this alien weakness during the battle for Europa. His entire squadron had been wiped out by alien fighters. But Walsh's final transmission had not been a call for help or a surrender offer. Instead, he had broadcast detailed information about alien ship movements, weapon timing, and shield frequencies. His death had provided intelligence that would save hundreds of other human pilots. Dr. Emma Clark worked 18 hours a day in her mobile laboratory, moving from one hidden facility to another, as alien forces searched for human research centers. She was leading the desperate effort to reverse engineer alien technology, using the wreckage and debris that human forces managed to collect after each battle. What Emma had learned was both encouraging and deeply disturbing. Human technology was indeed centuries behind alien science, but the gap was not as wide as it first appeared. The aliens had achieved their technological superiority through gradual refinement over thousands of years, not through revolutionary breakthroughs. Their computers were faster than human computers, but they used the same basic principles. Their weapons were more powerful, but they operated on physical laws that humans understood. More importantly, Emma had discovered that alien technology was designed by a civilization that had never faced serious opposition. Their ships had powerful shields and weapons, but limited repair capabilities. Their computers could process vast amounts of information, but struggled with unexpected problems that required creative solutions. They've been winning so easily for so long that they've forgotten how to adapt. Emma reported to Morrison during one of their secret communications. Their technology is optimized for quick victories against predictable enemies. They literally don't know how to fight a long war against opponents who keep changing tactics. The psychological impact of prolonged fighting was becoming visible in intercepted alien communications. Commander Velcross had begun filing reports that revealed growing frustration and confusion among his forces. His soldiers were experiencing what alien psychologists called victory fatigue, the mental exhaustion that came from winning battles without achieving the expected results. On Earth, President Lisa Carter addressed the survivors in underground shelters and hidden bunkers. Her message was broadcast through secret communication networks that alien forces had not yet discovered. They came here expecting to conquer a primitive species that would surrender after the first demonstration of superior power, she said. Instead, they found humans. They're learning that we don't have an off switch. Every time they think they've won, we prove them wrong. The turning point came during the Battle of the Asteroid Belt. Captain Maria Santos commanded the heavily damaged cruiser Resilience, one of the last remaining ships in the Earth Defense Fleet. Her vessel had lost most of its weapons, half of its shields and a third of its crew. By alien standards, the ship should have been abandoned or surrendered. Instead, Santos had discovered something remarkable about alien psychology. When her ship was surrounded by 6 alien vessels demanding surrender, she had responded by broadcasting human music on all frequencies. The songs were old military marches and patriotic anthems that meant nothing to alien ears. But something about the music seemed to unnerve the alien crews. Lieutenant Chris Morgan, monitoring alien communications from the Resilience's damaged sensor array, reported what he was hearing. They're talking to each other about human psychological warfare. They think we're using some kind of advanced mental attack. They're actually afraid of our music. Santos realized that the aliens were interpreting human determination as a form of insanity. They could not understand how any rational species would continue fighting when defeat was mathematically certain. To alien minds, human refusal to surrender appeared to be evidence of severe mental illness affecting the entire species. This psychological advantage became a weapon in itself. Human commanders began broadcasting messages during battles that were designed to confuse and frighten alien forces. They talked about preferring death to surrender, about fighting until the last human was dead, about the honor of dying in hopeless battles. Dr. Alex Turner, studying captured alien equipment in a hidden laboratory beneath the Australian desert, made the discovery that would change everything. The aliens had detailed psychological profiles of every species they had ever conquered, but their file on humanity was almost empty. They had assumed that humans would behave like every other species, following predictable patterns of resistance and surrender. They've been fighting us using a playbook written for conquering other aliens, Turner reported to Morrison. But humans didn't evolve in the same galaxy as these species. We developed different survival strategies. They expect logic and self-preservation to guide our decisions. They can't comprehend a species that values pride and determination more than individual survival. Admiral Morrison began, implementing what human commanders called the long game. Instead of trying to win individual battles, human forces focused on making every engagement a learning experience. Each destroyed human ship transmitted its discoveries to the rest of the fleet. Each lost battle provided new information about alien capabilities and weaknesses. Most importantly, human forces began sharing their tactical discoveries in real time. When Captain Danny Carter discovered that alien shields had a specific frequency vulnerability, he broadcast that information to every human ship in the solar system while ramming his fighter into an alien command vessel. The aliens found themselves fighting an enemy that became more dangerous with each defeat. Human tactics evolved daily, sometimes hourly, while alien doctrine remained unchanged. Fleet Commander Velcross began filing reports that his superiors found increasingly difficult to believe. The humans are not behaving according to any known pattern of military surrender, he reported. They appear to treat extinction as a tactical challenge rather than an unacceptable outcome. Request permission to withdraw and reassess our approach to this species. The response from the Galactic Council was immediate and harsh. Withdrawal was not acceptable. Velcross was ordered to complete the conquest of humanity, using whatever methods were necessary. The Council would not tolerate the first military failure in their recorded history. But something had changed in the war that neither side fully understood yet. The aliens had taught humans how their technology worked, and humans had taught aliens what fear felt like. Fleet Commander Velcross stared at the tactical displays in his command center, trying to understand reports that made no sense according to every military manual in the galactic database. His forces had won 73 major engagements against human defenders. They controlled all human colonies outside the solar system. They had destroyed more than 3/4 of the human space fleet. By every logical measure, the war should have ended months ago. Instead, human resistance was growing stronger every day. The humans had begun doing something that no other species in galactic history had ever attempted. They were broadcasting their tactical discoveries to every surviving human ship and base in real time, turning each defeat into a lesson for their remaining forces. When Captain Danny Carter's fighter squadron was destroyed attacking an alien supply convoy, Carter's final transmission was not a call for help. It was detailed information about alien shield frequencies and weapon reload cycles. Dr. Sophie Martinez worked in a mobile laboratory, hidden inside a damaged asteroid in the belt between Mars and Jupiter. Her facility moved constantly, using small rockets to change position every few hours to avoid alien detection. She was leading the human effort to combine alien technology with human engineering, creating hybrid systems that aliens had never imagined. "We can't match their individual components," Martinez explained during a secret communication with Admiral Morrison. "Their computers are faster, their weapons are more powerful, their shields are stronger. But we can combine them in ways they never considered because they've never needed to improvise." The breakthrough came when Lieutenant Commander Tony Garcia realized that alien technology was designed for standardized, predictable use. Every alien ship used the same shield frequencies, the same communication protocols, the same tactical databases. This standardization made their fleets incredibly efficient when fighting conventional enemies. But it also created vulnerabilities that could be exploited by unconventional opponents. Garcia's discovery led to the development of chaos tactics, human strategies that deliberately avoided predictable patterns. Human ships began using random flight paths, irregular attack timing, and improvised weapon combinations that alien computers could not anticipate or counter effectively. Colonel Ashley Bell, analyzing captured alien strategic databases from her command post beneath the ruins of Denver, made an even more disturbing discovery about their enemies. "They've been fighting the same way for over 800 years, she reported to Morrison. "Their military doctrine hasn't changed because it has never needed to change. They literally don't know how to adapt their strategies when standard methods fail." This inflexibility was becoming visible throughout the alien fleet. When human tactics changed, alien forces would continue using their previous countermeasures for several battles before slowly adjusting their approach. By the time aliens adapted to one human strategy, human commanders had already moved on to completely different tactics. The psychological breaking point for alien forces came during the siege of Earth's moon. Commander Velcross had ordered the systematic destruction of all human installations on the lunar surface. Expecting this demonstration of overwhelming power, to finally force Earth's surrender. Instead, he watched human defenders turn their own destroyed facilities into weapons. Human engineers used debris from destroyed bases as raw materials for improvised missiles. They converted mining equipment into railguns that could damage alien ships. Most shocking of all, they turned the lunar gravity wells into tactical advantages, using the moon's low gravity to launch attacks that would have been impossible on any other world. When Velcros' subordinate, Fleet Captain Zordon, asked for permission to retreat from the lunar engagement, Velcros finally understood what they were truly fighting. "We're not fighting soldiers," he reported to the Galactic Council. "We're fighting a species that treats extinction as a tactical challenge instead of an unacceptable outcome." On Earth, the human cost of the war was becoming almost unbearable. Entire cities lay in ruins from alien bombardment. Billions of people had died in the fighting or from the collapse of civilization's infrastructure. The survivors lived in underground shelters and hidden bunkers, emerging only to fight or to search for supplies. But Admiral Morrison's final gambit was taking shape in the secret shipyards that human engineers had built inside the largest asteroids. Using alien technology recovered from the battlefield and human engineering principles that no alien had ever considered, they were building something that would shock both sides of the conflict. Captain Michelle Davis had been chosen to lead the first squadron of hybrid ships into battle. The vessels looked unlike anything that either humans or aliens had ever built. They combined alien energy systems with human structural design, alien computers with human tactical software, alien weapons with human targeting systems. The results of the first engagement surprised everyone involved. The hybrid ships could match alien vessels in direct combat, but they could also do things that alien ships were never designed to handle. They could reconfigure their systems during battle, adapt their tactics in real time, and coordinate their actions in ways that confused alien computers. Most importantly, the hybrid ships were crewed by humans who had learned to think like aliens while still fighting like humans. They understood alien technology well enough to exploit its weaknesses, but they retained the human refusal to accept defeat that had kept the war going despite impossible odds. Dr. Rachel Kim, working from a hidden research station orbiting Neptune, completed her final analysis of the war's psychological impact on both species. What she discovered was disturbing and hopeful in equal measure. The aliens had assumed that humans were like every other species they had conquered, logical beings who would surrender when resistance became mathematically futile. Instead, they had encountered a species that had evolved as persistence hunters, creatures that survived by refusing to give up even when prey was faster, stronger, and better adapted to the environment. Humans had developed the ability to continue fighting, long after rational analysis suggested that defeat was inevitable. Captain Lisa Johnson led the first human assault on an alien staging area outside the solar system. Her target was the supply depot at Proxima Centauri, where alien forces were gathering reinforcements for what they expected to be the final assault on Earth. Johnson's fleet consisted of 12 hybrid ships and 43 traditional human vessels, facing more than 200 alien ships. The battle that followed became legendary in human military history. Johnson's forces used tactics that no alien commander had ever encountered, combining human unpredictability with alien technology to create chaos in the enemy formations. When her flagship was surrounded by 6 alien cruisers, Johnson broadcast a message that was picked up by monitoring stations throughout the galaxy. "You wanted to teach us our place in the galaxy," she said calmly, as her ship prepared to ram the largest alien vessel. "Lesson learned. Now let us teach you yours." The psychological impact of that battle spread far beyond the immediate participants. For the first time in galactic history, alien forces had been defeated in open combat by a species they had assumed was primitive. The news reached the Galactic Council within hours. Carried by fleeing alien ships that had witnessed the impossible, Fleet Commander Velcros received new orders from the Council that reflected their growing panic. He was to end the war immediately, using whatever methods were necessary. If standard conquest was impossible, he was authorized to destroy the human species completely, sterilizing their worlds until nothing remained alive. But as Velcros prepared for what he hoped would be the final assault on Earth, he made a discovery that changed everything. His own crews were beginning to doubt their inevitable victory. Alien soldiers who had never questioned their superiority were now asking whether humans might actually be capable of winning the war. The impossible was becoming possible, and both species would soon learn the true cost of underestimating human determination. The emergency session of the Galactic Council convened in chaos as reports flooded in from the human front. For the first time in recorded galactic history, a primitive species had not only survived the Council's military assault, but had begun pushing alien forces back. Fleet Commander Velcros's final transmission had been received by every member species, and its contents had shaken the foundation of galactic civilization. Ambassador Zektar stood before the assembled delegates, his crystalline form no longer reflecting light with confidence, but seeming to absorb the shadows that filled the Great Hall. The report he held contained information that challenged everything the Council believed about their place in the universe. The humans have achieved something that our military experts claimed was impossible, Zektar announced to the silent assembly. They have learned to fight more effectively from defeat than we have learned to fight from victory. Their resistance grows stronger with each engagement, while our forces become more demoralized despite their tactical successes. Admiral Jake Morrison stood on the bridge of the EDF Retribution, humanity's first fully hybrid warship, built with captured alien technology and human engineering principles. Around him, officers who had learned alien science the hard way prepared for the counterattack that would define humanity's place in the galaxy. The ship itself was a symbol of human adaptation, part alien design, part human modification, entirely unprecedented in galactic warfare. The Retribution represented something that aliens had never encountered, a species capable of absorbing their conquerors' advantages while retaining their own unique strengths. Human engineers had taken alien energy systems and improved their efficiency. Human tacticians had studied alien strategy and developed counters that alien computers could not predict. Captain Oliver Stone, monitoring alien communications from the Retribution's hybrid sensor array, reported what he was hearing throughout the enemy fleet. "They're not just retreating," he told Morrison with amazement. "They're running. For the first time in their military history, they're afraid of their opponents." Dr. Rachel Kim's final psychological analysis explained what was happening to the alien forces. The species that comprised the Galactic Council had evolved in environments where logical surrender was a survival strategy. When faced with superior force, they had learned to submit and negotiate rather than fight to extinction. This behavior had served them well in building galactic civilization, but it had also made them vulnerable to opponents who approached conflict differently. Humans had evolved as persistence hunters on a world where survival often required continuing the chase long after logic suggested giving up. This evolutionary heritage had created a species that treated apparently hopeless situations as challenges to overcome rather than signals to surrender. Captain Lisa Johnson, now commanding the expanded human fleet at Proxima Centauri, broadcast a message that was intercepted by monitoring stations throughout the galaxy. Her words would be analyzed by alien psychologists for decades to come. "You came to conquer a primitive species," she said calmly. "Instead, you've created your first true equal. The question now is whether we'll be friends or whether you'll force us to teach the galaxy why humans don't stay down." The war's turning point came not with a single battle but with a series of engagements that demonstrated human capabilities to the entire galaxy. Human forces began attacking alien installations outside the solar system, using hybrid ships and tactics that alien defenders could not counter effectively. Fleet Commander Velcros, broken by months of impossible victories that felt like defeats, delivered his final assessment to the Council. His report would become required reading at military academies throughout the galaxy. "We defeated their military, destroyed their cities, and killed billions of them," he wrote. "In response, they became better at killing us. We have awakened something that should have remained sleeping." The formal end of the war came when the Galactic Council made an unprecedented decision to withdraw their forces from human space. The vote was not unanimous. Several species argued for total extermination of humanity to prevent the spread of human military philosophy to other conquered worlds. But the majority recognized that continuing the war would only make humans more dangerous. President Lisa Carter addressed both humanity and the galaxy in her victory speech, broadcast from the rebuilt Luna City and transmitted to every inhabited system within 50 light years. "You came here to teach us our place in the galaxy," she said. "Instead, you learned that humans create their own place wherever they choose to stand." Admiral Morrison, now commanding humanity's first interstellar fleet, received surrender offers from 3 alien species that had witnessed the war from neighboring systems. The Keth Dominion, the Spiral Confederacy, and the Void Traders had all concluded that allying with humans was preferable to risking human attention as potential enemies. The galactic balance of power had shifted in ways that no political scientist had predicted. Humanity had not merely survived the Council's assault. They had proven that the Council was not invincible. This revelation encouraged resistance movements on dozens of conquered worlds, forcing the Council to face rebellions that they had thought were impossible. Dr. Nina Foster, working in the rebuilt research facilities on Luna, began designing ships that would carry human determination to the stars. The vessels she conceived were unlike anything in galactic history. Ships designed not for conquest, but for exploration and defense. Crewed by humans who had learned that the galaxy was larger and stranger than anyone had imagined. The psychological impact on galactic civilization was profound and lasting. The Council's assumption of inevitable victory had been shattered by opponents who refused to accept the logic of surrender. Other species began questioning whether submission to Council authority was truly necessary, or whether human-style resistance might be possible for them as well. 10 years after the war, Ambassador Jake Peterson stood before the same Galactic Council that had once voted for humanity's destruction. This time, he was not there to receive ultimatums but to deliver them. Behind him, displays showed human colonies spreading throughout local space, human-designed ships patrolling trade routes that the Council no longer controlled, and human scientists sharing technological discoveries that were advancing civilization by centuries. The galaxy has 3 choices, Peterson announced to the assembled delegates. Work with us as equals, stay out of our way, or discover why the word human has become synonymous with persistent threat in 17 languages. The council chambers, once filled with confident voices discussing the fate of primitive species, now echoed with nervous whispers about the humans who had changed everything. Some delegates spoke of forming alliances with humanity. Others discussed the need for new military strategies that could counter human unpredictability. All of them understood that the galaxy had been fundamentally altered by their decision to go to war with Earth. Ambassador Zektar, his crystalline form now bearing the stress fractures that came with age and defeat, delivered the Council's response. The Galactic Council recognizes humanity as a sovereign species with equal rights to space exploration and colonization. We propose the establishment of formal diplomatic relations and mutual defense agreements. Peterson smiled, remembering the fear in alien voices during the final battles of the war. We accept your proposal, he said, but understand that humans have long memories. We remember who voted for our destruction, and we remember who chose to fight beside us. Make sure you end up in the right category. In the years that followed, human exploration fleets would discover that the galaxy was filled with species who had surrendered to the Council rather than fight hopeless wars. Many of these species would choose to ally with humanity, drawn by the promise of freedom and the protection of beings who had proven that impossible odds were merely interesting challenges. The Council had voted for war on Earth, expecting to add another conquered species to their records. Instead, they had awakened a force that would reshape galactic civilization and demonstrate to the universe that some species could not be conquered, only befriended or avoided. Humanity had learned its place in the galaxy, and that place was wherever humans chose to stand. The Great Hall of the Galactic Council stretched far beyond what human eyes could see. Thousands of alien beings filled the massive space, their strange forms casting odd shadows under the bright lights that hung from the ceiling like artificial suns. The air hummed with the sounds of dozens of different languages as species from across the galaxy gathered for the most important vote in centuries. Ambassador Zektar stood at the center podium, his tall crystalline body reflecting the light in rainbow patterns. His voice carried through the hall without need for speakers, a natural ability of his kind that made every word clear to every listener. He had been preparing for this moment for 3 full cycles. Ever since the humans had first rejected the Council's authority. Fellow members of the Galactic Council, Zektar began, his tone formal and cold. We have reached the end of our patience with the species known as humans. For too long, they have ignored our laws and expanded beyond the boundaries we set for them. They have built colonies and systems that belong to other species. They have refused to pay the taxes that all civilized worlds must pay. Most importantly, they have rejected our final demand for their complete surrender. The hall fell silent as Zektar's words echoed through the space. Every being present knew what this meant. In the long history of the Galactic Council, only 7 species had ever refused to obey the final demand. All 7 had been destroyed completely, their worlds burned until nothing remained but empty rock floating in space. On the distant planet called Earth, Admiral Jake Morrison stood in a room deep beneath the ground. The walls around him were covered with screens, showing the positions of alien ships throughout human space. The numbers were not good. 3,000 enemy vessels had gathered at the edge of the solar system, waiting for the Council's decision. Earth's entire space navy consisted of only 287 ships, most of them much smaller than the alien vessels. Jake had served in the Earth Defense Force for 30 years. He had fought pirates and rebels, but nothing had prepared him for this. The aliens possessed technology that humans could barely understand. Their ships could travel faster than light, crossing vast distances in hours instead of years. Their weapons could destroy entire cities with single shots. Their shields could stop nuclear missiles as easily as a person might swat away a fly. President Lisa Carter sat in her office above the underground command center, staring at the message that had arrived 3 days ago. The aliens had given Earth one final choice: surrender completely and accept alien rule or face total destruction. The message was clear and simple, translated into every human language. There would be no negotiation, no compromise, no middle ground. Lisa had called together every world leader, every military commander, every scientist who might have an answer. They had debated for 72 hours straight. Some argued for surrender, saying that living under alien rule was better than dying free. Others demanded that Earth fight regardless of the odds. In the end, the vote had been close, but the decision was made. Captain Ben Hayes walked through the corridors of the space station orbiting Mars. His crew was preparing their ship for what everyone knew would be their final battle. Ben had read the intelligence reports about alien military tactics. They were efficient and brutal. They would attack the outer colonies first, destroying resistance quickly to break human morale. Then they would demand surrender again. If humans still refused, they would move closer to Earth, destroying everything in their path. The alien method had worked perfectly against every other species they had conquered. No civilization had ever continued fighting after losing half their territory. Most surrendered after the first demonstration of alien power. The Council's military experts predicted that humans would surrender within 2 weeks of the first attack. Dr. Alex Turner sat in his laboratory, studying the few pieces of alien technology that human spies had managed to obtain over the years. He was Earth's leading expert on alien science, but even he had to admit that human understanding was limited. The aliens were at least 300 years ahead of human technology, possibly more. Their computers processed information faster than anything humans had built. Their materials were stronger than anything found on Earth. Their energy sources produced power that human scientists could only dream about. But Alex had noticed something strange in the alien communications that human intelligence had intercepted. The aliens seemed confused by human behavior. They repeatedly asked each other why humans continued to refuse surrender when the outcome was so obvious. They appeared genuinely puzzled by humanity's response to their ultimatum. Back in the Galactic Council Hall, Zektar was reading the charges against humanity. The list was long and detailed. Humans had established colonies in the Kepler system without permission. They had built military bases in neutral space. They had refused to acknowledge Council law regarding trade routes. They had rejected alien authority over human worlds. They had failed to pay tribute to their designated Council overseer. Most serious of all, they had ignored the final ultimatum that demanded their complete submission to Council authority. Every other species in the galaxy understood that refusing the final ultimatum meant war. Only primitive species that did not understand the reality of galactic power ever made such a mistake. The vote began with the most powerful species. The hegemony voted for war. The crystalline collective voted for war. The machine intelligence voted for war. One by one, each member species cast their vote. Some hesitated, remembering their own first encounters with Council power, but all eventually voted the same way. When the final vote was counted, the result was unanimous. The Council had decided that humanity must be destroyed. On Earth, Admiral Morrison received the message from their spies in alien space. The Council had voted for war. The alien fleet was already moving toward the solar system. The first attacks would begin within hours. Morrison activated the emergency communication system that connected every human world, every ship, every military base throughout human space. His message was simple and direct. This is Admiral Morrison to all human forces. The aliens have chosen war. They expect us to surrender when they show us their power. They believe we will break like every other species has broken. They are about to learn that they have never fought humans before.